No one knows the exact moment when a person begins to despair. Perhaps it was when he sat alone in a cold room, quietly eating 3 tomatoes instead of dinner, or when his mother in the countryside sent him a small package that he never had the chance to open. It might also have been the moment he raised his hand for help in front of thousands of people, yet no one understood. People only saw the stage lights, the laughter, and the glittering costumes. No one saw the artist who was hungry, trembling, and silently swallowing his tears during every live stream. When he disappeared, people finally began to piece things together. Every gesture, every smile, every seemingly casual word had been a cry for help that went unheard. This is not just a story about death, but about the days of living in darkness, beneath the lights, and amid the applause of his own audience. This is Yu Menglong, and these are the years he lived like a ghost within his own life. 3 tomatoes and the years of hunger. In the world of Chinese entertainment, where lavish banquets are the norm, it is hard to believe that a star once so famous could have struggled with hunger. But Yu Menglong said it himself many times and very sincerely. Have you eaten? A fan asked during a live stream. I just had 3 tomatoes, he replied with a smile. The answer sounded lighthearted, but his eyes and tone told another story. Those 3 tomatoes became a symbol of the years he spent starving, not only in body but also in spirit. On another occasion, a fan asked, "Why have you lost so much weight lately?" He smiled faintly and said, "I don't have money to eat." It was a simple, almost casual sentence, but behind it was a brutal truth. An artist with nearly 30 million followers who could not afford a proper meal. Colleagues recalled that whenever there was food, he ate with quiet delight, as if he had gone hungry for days. He never dared to order anything over 30 yuan, even when others around him filled the table with expensive dishes. And there were things that hurt even more than hunger. The gifts fans sent, he never got to touch. The packages mother sent from home, he never once opened. Everything was taken from him. He once asked, "Where's the parcel my mother sent?" But no one answered. There are things people cannot steal, like a voice, a smile, or kindness. But there are also things taken quietly. Every package, every meal, every small piece of freedom. In many old videos, viewers later noticed that he often ate secretly backstage or chewed on a cold bun, smiling at the camera as if afraid someone might realize he was hungry. Now when those moments are pieced together, they look like scenes from a sad film that no one can rewind. He kept living, kept smiling, kept performing. But behind that smile was an empty stomach and a soul so restrained it had to learn how to pretend to be okay. And then winter came, a winter colder than any before, not only because of the Beijing wind, but because, in Yu Menglong's life, it seemed that no sunlight remained to keep him warm. The 200 yuan winter coat, a winter without sunlight. In the winter of 2024, while Beijing glittered with Christmas lights, Yu Menglong appeared at an airport in a short clip that lasted only a few seconds. He wore a loose purple cotton coat that looked slightly worn. It seemed like an ordinary image, but later it left millions of people speechless. The coat was from a budget brand called Gogosun, priced at 218 yuan and discounted to under 200 yuan. A celebrity with over 30 million followers on Weibo could only afford a jacket that cost less than his colleagues' dinners. A few days later, netizens discovered a shopping account under the name Yu that posted a 5-star review for the exact same coat. His review video showed a hand, posture, and build strikingly similar to his. The nickname played on the surname Yu, and the profile picture was of a dog, the animal he loved most. The comment was brief, good quality, fast delivery, very warm. It might have been a simple review to earn a few cashback points, or perhaps it was a quiet, heartbreaking whisper, a sign that he was truly living in extreme frugality. It wasn't just the purple coat. In many videos, fans noticed he often wore clothes costing between 80 and 200 yuan, the kind of affordable designs sold widely on Taobao. When he went out, he washed, ironed, and even stitched his clothes himself. He had once been the face of Baziding, one of China's top winter wear brands, yet the sponsored items from that company were often seen on his assistant instead of him. In a behind-the-scenes clip, the assistant is clearly seen wearing a black Baziding jacket worth around 3,000 yuan. And you? He was still wearing a thin jacket with a sagging collar, drooping shoulders, and a worn leather belt. Another time, at a filming set, the assistant next to him wore a North Face jacket worth over 5,000 yuan, while you, the lead actor, was in the same faded 200 yuan coat. One netizen wrote a comment that sent chills through everyone. A celebrity with 30 million followers, yet he looks like someone living on welfare. But you never complained. Not once. Those who knew him said that whenever the crew went out to eat, he always waited for everyone else to order before choosing the smallest, cheapest dish. When asked why, he would just smile and say, "I eat lightly. It helps me sleep." Those who knew him understood it wasn't for health reasons, but because he didn't want anyone to realize he couldn't afford to eat. What puzzled people even more was that he still donated to charity. During the Henan floods, Yu Menglong transferred 500,000 yuan to help victims. Fans later discovered that after the donation, his bank account balance was only 387 yuan, less than $55. That 387 yuan was the money he had planned to live on for the following month. Food, transportation, and daily expenses. Yet he still donated, as if it was his way of holding on to a piece of his soul in a world that had taken almost everything else from him. He was a man who lived so frugally that he didn't dare eat his fill, dress warmly, or open a gift from his mother, yet still gave away 500,000 yuan to help others. Perhaps that was his way of reminding himself that he was still free, even if only in choosing kindness. It was painfully ironic. He once promoted luxury fashion brands, yet couldn't even keep a single coat for himself. Amid a world of glitter and glamour, he seemed like someone left behind, quietly playing the role of a celebrity in the movie of his own life. People often say that poverty is when you have no money. But for him, poverty was when you had money and weren't allowed to spend it. Signals for help, the language of desperation. Winter passed, but in Yu Menglong's life, spring never returned. After months of struggling through cold and hunger, he seemed to begin speaking in another language, one that only those who had known despair could understand. If material poverty can be seen, then the poverty of the soul hides much deeper. For years, Yu Menglong kept calling for help, but no one heard him. After his death, netizens began replaying every frame, every livestream, every behind-the-scenes clip. And then they realized that within those moments were cries for help the entire world had missed. Once, at an airport, Yu Menglong stood silently amid the rush of travelers. In his hand was his phone, and he began tapping lightly on its back. 3 short taps, 3 long ones, then 3 short again. 3 quick taps for S, 3 slow for O. 3 final taps for S, the international Morse code for SOS. That action could not have been random or coincidental. Amid the airport announcements and the echo of footsteps, an actor was sending a distress signal with his fingertips, and no one noticed. He repeated the motion a few more times, between faint smiles, as if testing whether anyone would understand. At the time, people thought it was just a habit, a nervous rhythm. But now looking back, everyone feels a chill. Later, when Chinese police released public guidance that said, "If you are being abused, show 4 fingers," fans found dozens of old photos where Yu Menglong often held up 4 fingers while taking selfies or posing for the camera. Not 2, not 5, 4. No one understood then. But now, people have begun piecing together the fragments of despair. In 2019, during another live stream, he raised his hand to make a strange hand signal, 540. It was an international hand signal for help, consisting of 3 steps: opening the hand 5, folding the thumb into the palm 4, then closing the fist 0. Each time he did it, he looked straight into the camera, not at the screen, but directly into the lens. His eyes seemed to cut through the distance, as if he were speaking to someone on the other side. Please understand me. It lasted only a few seconds, but when played in slow motion, you could see his eyes redden, his lips moving as if he were whispering something. A fan enlarged the frame and read his lips. He said, "Help me." No one heard. And as if fate were mocking him, all those moments of distress were drowned out by waves of hearts, laughing emojis, cheers, and live stream effects. He stayed silent. He kept performing. But deep down, he must have realized that no one truly heard his voice. In a behind-the-scenes clip from the film, A Love Story of Oiled Paper Umbrella, each actor was given a red envelope to mark the end of filming. The camera captured him bowing slightly, waiting. The envelope was handed out, but his manager immediately snatched it and tucked it into a pocket. For half a second, the camera caught his eyes, timid, afraid. The director finally spoke up. "Give it to him." "That's for you." The manager smiled and handed it back, but you didn't dare to look happy. People asked why a 30-year-old man would have the eyes of a child afraid of being punished. Did that envelope get taken away again afterward? Had he grown used to losing everything, even the smallest reward meant for him? When the pieces are connected, the picture becomes clear. A man once beloved, once standing in the spotlight, was trying to tell the world he was being imprisoned. But the language of despair is never understood in time. It is only understood after the one who spoke it has gone silent forever. After all the signals sent through his hands, his eyes, and those desperate taps, Yu Menglong must have realized that no one was listening anymore. Yet few knew that he still had one last way to send a cry for help, a way that only those truly listening could ever notice. A cry for help in music, way back home. Music had once been his only refuge. When words could no longer be spoken, people turned to melodies. When they could not scream, they whispered through songs. For Yu Menglong, that was how he sent out his final signal through music. A fan with the nickname Big Dreamer recalled that she accidentally came across an old video where he was singing the English song Way Back Into Love. But something about it felt different. When he reached the chorus, instead of singing Way Back Into Love, he changed the lyrics to Way Back Home. Just 2 words, yet enough to make listeners shiver. At that moment, Yu Menglong looked straight into the camera. His eyes glimmered, then lowered. He stepped out of frame and wiped his eyes. His tears fell in the middle of a song that at first seemed spontaneous. The fan later said, "At that time, I thought he was just emotional. Now I know he was crying for help." She looked up the original lyrics, comparing every line, and realized that the part he changed matched perfectly with his own life. Wait, a shadow has fallen across the road ahead. I have been sleeping while fear crawls over my bed. I've been lost in loneliness for so many years, trapped in the cage of the past, unable to move on. When he sang the word home, his voice broke. It no longer sounded like a note, but a plea. Let me go home. Home was not just where his mother lived. It was perhaps where his soul could finally be free. The fan Big Dreamer wrote under the video, "I regret not realizing it sooner." He tried to save himself, but he failed. Those words from a fan read like an epitaph. She added, "I think if we had understood back then, we might have saved him. We could have taken him and his mother somewhere else, somewhere no one could hurt them." Those words made millions cry, because they understood that the signs he left behind were not meant to complain, but to escape. One fan said, "He used music to knock on the door of the world, but no one opened it." A gentle man who always spoke of hope ended his life in loneliness. Perhaps what he wanted most was simply to live an ordinary life, a wish so simple it hurts to hear it. In this world, nothing is crueler than a person having to beg for the right to live like everyone else. When the final song ended, he said nothing more. No words of thanks, no farewell, only a long and haunting silence. That may have been his last signal, a goodbye that no one understood. And after that silence, there was only true quiet. The final days, signs of silence. Before Yu Menglong left this world, he went through a long period of silence, a kind of silence that was not peaceful but utterly suffocating. People often say that before a star burns out, it shines the brightest one last time. For Yu Menglong, that final brightness came in the form of strained smiles, promotional videos, and his last appearances behind the scenes. Throughout that summer, he kept filming, taking photos, and interacting with fans. But if you looked closely, you could see that the light in his eyes was gone. At times he would pause mid-sentence, stare into the camera for a long moment, then smile faintly, as if afraid someone was watching him from behind. Sources later claimed that during this period, his accounts were fully controlled. Every post, every word he wrote, had to pass through someone else. Those posts with strange punctuation and unusual spacing are now believed to have been coded messages, his way of leaving traces for anyone willing to understand. Colleagues also recalled that in his final days, he often said, "Last night I dreamed I was locked up again. It was a recurring dream." He said that someone was keeping him trapped in a dark room without windows. He tried to knock on the door, but no sound came out. Was that dream just a dream, or was it a memory? No one knows. On the night of September 10th, neighbors near his apartment heard shouting, the sound of something falling, and then complete silence. The next morning, the news spread. Yu Menglong had fallen from a high floor. The headlines were short and cold, suicide after drinking. But those who saw him the previous day insisted he was not drunk. He had been calm, just quieter than usual. Moments after the news broke, hundreds of posts containing his name were deleted within minutes. The hashtag justice for UMENGLON disappeared from Weibo. Yet those who loved him could not stay silent. They searched through every video, every photo, every final frame. And then they uncovered the most chilling truth of all. For years, Yu Menglong had been living inside an invisible cage, one built from power, contracts, and fear. He could not speak, could not call out, could not escape. The world outside only saw the lights, while in the darkness, he was struggling alone. And then, when those lights finally went out, all that remained was silence. There was no sound of the camera, no director's call of action, only an empty space where his voice used to be. People say a star truly dies only when no one remembers its light, but Yu Menglong has not disappeared. Because in every remaining smile and glance, one thing is still clear. He was not only a victim of darkness, but also a mirror reflecting a system that has forgotten how to listen. We saw, but we did not understand. We heard, but we did not believe. And when we finally believed, it was already too late. When the stage lights go out, fame fades away. What remains is the question: how many others right now are sending out their own signals for help that no one can understand?